Hi and welcome to HeyScan. I'm your host Bob Scanlan. Padres get back on the winning side tonight, beating the Florida Marlins 4-1 to keep a hold on first place in the National League West. A lot of emails came in today, so let's get right to them. First one from A-Dong. A-Dong 26. He wants to know, hey, Garland has a 2.09 earned run average at home, but a 3.10 away. Do you think that the weather in Miami made him pitch like he does at home? You know what? I think that's a great point. And actually, I asked Mark Grant about that in the post-game show this evening. Mark was in Florida, so he could tell me what the weather conditions were. And the reason it was important to me is because I understand that when you have some humidity, you have a better feel for the ball, most likely, and guys get better action on their pitches. That's why I was wondering if John Garland had great action on his two-seamer and good tight rotation on his slider tonight, possibly because he was able to get a better grip on the ball because of the humidity in the air. I certainly think that the weather did not hurt John Garland in his effort tonight. John Garland, by the way, going 6 innings, allowing only 3 hits, 1 run, and striking out 10, by far his best outing of the season. Hey, next is Andrew. Andrew wants to know, hey, do you think the Padres' aggressiveness on the base paths will be the key ingredient to them making to the playoffs? You know what, Andrew? If the Padres are able to make it to the playoffs, it's certainly going to be an important ingredient not only of getting there, but of having any success in the playoffs. Why do I say that? Most teams are successful in the playoffs because they're able to score off opposing pitchers in multiple ways. You know what? There's a reason that most teams have gotten to the postseason. It's because they have great pitching. If you think that you're just going to go up there and slug against great pitching, you've got another thing coming. It's usually the teams that are able to manufacture some runs, make the most out of the least that you're given by a pitcher who is on that day that are able to win. The Padres are able to bunt, hit and run, move guys over, steal bases, and push 1 or 2 runs across, even against a very tough pitcher. They've got a much better chance of not only getting to the playoffs, but if they do get there, of sticking around and having some success. Hey, Jason and Justin. Jason, my friend, how you doing? Justin, his son wants to know, hey, under what conditions can pitchers lick their fingers or blow on their hand? He recalls Greg Maddux pushing this envelope when he was a Padre, but he can't really actually recall what the rule is. So what is the rule about when a pitcher can actually go to his mouth with his fingers? First of all, under normal circumstances, a pitcher can never go to his mouth while he's standing on the mound. If he's not on the dirt of the mound, he can go to his fingers like that if he wants, but he needs to wipe it off on his jersey somewhere. You can't just load up your fingers and put that saliva on a baseball. You've got to show that you're wiping it off somewhere on your uniform. If, however, there are cold conditions, the home plate umpire can come up and say, hey, it's okay for you to blow in your hand because they don't want guys having frozen fingers and not being able to control the ball. So it's under very cold conditions, a pitcher will be allowed to blow into his hand to try to keep it warm while he's on the mound. But it's only after the umpire has definitely given you the okay to do it. Otherwise, it's considered a balk if you go to your mouth while you're on the mound. Next question is from Russell Cruz. Russell says, hey, if you look at that play again tonight, now Russell's talking about the play, the very last play of this ball game, where Will Venable dives to make that great catch to end the game. We talked about it. We said, you know what, that's a little bit of a risky play. If he doesn't catch the ball in that situation, diving for it, not only do 2 runs come in, but the tying run will end up in scoring position. So that's the play that we're talking about here. Russell says, if you think you look at that play again, Venable would not have been able to have stopped that ball at all. That ball would have bounded past him. He had to lay out. That was a great play. Thanks for your time, Russell. Russell, that's an interesting point. So your point is, you know what? He had no choice on that play. He had to dive just to keep it in front of him any way he could. That's an interesting take on that. But you know what? There's another take. This one is by Roy. Roy says, hey, Scan, I watched the replay several times, and it appeared that Venable initially took the wrong line to the ball. I think he realized the ball was going to get by him because of the bad angle, so then he went for it and tried to make the diving catch. You know what, Roy? I kind of agree with your side. I understand that at that point, Will Venable felt like he needed to make the dive to try to keep the ball from going all the way to the wall, but he initially took a route with the intent of trying to catch that ball, knowing that it was going to be a bang-bang diving situation. Possibly if he had to do it over again, he may have looked back and said, you know what? As soon as that ball leaves the bat, you see it's a line drive, you know it's going to be hooking away from you, you got to think to yourself, do I have a better chance of diving and making that play, or trying to take a different angle on that ball to go a little bit deeper to try to keep it in front of me and keep it to a single instead of the double situation that it was. So kind of a combination of both. Had he had a chance to do it over, probably takes a deeper route on that ball to begin with, so he's not forced to be in that dive situation because, again, when you've got the lead, it's more important to try to play a little bit conservative, keep that ball in front of you, and keep that tying run from getting into scoring position. All that being said, that was a hell of a catch. Next, John Morgan. Hey, I was wondering if in April it's typical bad month for closers. I remember that Trevor typically had more blown saves in the month of April, and he's wondering if Heath Bell has had a couple of struggles in the month of April. If there's something about April. That's a great question, John, and I think there might be something to that. If you think about some of the greatest closers that we've seen, Mariano Rivera, Trevor Hoffman, those guys pretty consistently have not had the best starts to the season. In fact, the last 4 or 5 years, everyone's asking, hey, are these guys washed up because they struggle in the month of April? I think that this is what it comes down to. Not only is it a weather issue because that affects all pitchers, but more importantly, coming into a ball game in the ninth with the game on the line is not a situation that you can ever duplicate in spring training. You just can't create that same intensity. It's not until the season actually starts where guys feel like they're in that same intense situation. And I think closers maybe take a couple of games of actually being in game competition in that ninth inning with that adrenaline flowing, try to controlling all that emotion, all that excitement, and getting your pitches done. I think it's something that only happens at the start of the season. Maybe it takes a couple of outings to get that adrenaline under control, and then once they've had those couple of outings under the belt, they're money the rest of the season. Hopefully that's the case with most of the closers that we've seen, certainly with Heath Bell. Hey, he's been throwing the ball pretty darn good. He's given up some base runners. He's got one blown save, but I still have confidence that Heath can get the job done, throwing that 93-mile-an-hour fastball and those nasty breaking balls. Hey, thanks a lot for all those emails tonight. Keep them coming. Appreciate you checking in on HeyScan. Have a good evening. We'll talk to you tomorrow.